today our plan kind of activity is going to be taking a look at AI and specifically AI coding and how you can pretty easily build tools either to connect to your FileMaker database, or you can obviously now build tools that are completely separate from the FileMaker database. But we're going to be building something that's actually you can connect to the FileMaker database. That'd be pretty interesting. Um, but it looks like we still have some people coming in. So before we get to the actual presentation, John, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Justin?
Very good. Before we get to the presentation, are there any agenda items that anybody else would like to bring up, news on the FileMaker front or news just in general that you're interested in sharing with the group?
I have a big announcement for full access event.
Go ahead.
Let
Let's
me do
hear
that
it.
now. Oh, is
Yeah,
this
let's hear
recorded? Is this being recorded already? Wow.
it. I believe so.
So I can drop into the chat, or I could show an interview I had with Rick Coleman from Claris yesterday about the full access event on August 6th. Really wonderful testimony. I'm doing interviews with all the sponsors and people. Full access is happening in Los Altos, California on August 6th through 10th. It's a full 4-day plus event. All registration, meals, lodging, snacks, alcoholic beverages, game shows, everything's included in one price. It's $13.95 right now. It goes up on May 1st to $14.95. This is incredible. We've got Claris as a sponsor, where they're bringing at least 4 of their engineers on site because it's 8 miles from their headquarters. And we have 10 paid sponsors, starting with Claris, 360 Works, iSolutions. Oh my gosh, goes on down the list. Monkey Bread Software. Most of the big guys are sponsoring us. It's big. We're already making plans for next year, which likely will be in Colorado in October of next year. We're landing facilities for 2026, 2027, and 2028. A lot of AI conversations. We have built an entire TV game show set of Wheel of Fortune, also of Jeopardy. So we have game shows at night along with the free alcohol that comes with the event. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of state-of-the-art AI sessions that are still being written because Claris is still coming out with new technology, right? So I just want to encourage everybody to check out fullaccess.us and consider signing up. This is the premier, in fact, the only FileMaker developer type conference happening in America this year. Claris is going to do another one next year in May, but this is the only one this year. And we're going to be August 6th this year and about October 3rd next year, already planning it. Welcome any comments or any feedback. You can send them to me at jonn@fullaccess.us. I'm the lead organizer. We have a team of about 10 people putting it on. We've invested heavily in technology, so we're going to have AI tracking cameras and really good sound equipment. We're going to live stream some of it on Zoom, record some of the sessions. And last year, people went and said it was like the most fun they'd ever had at any convention anywhere, which blew my mind. So I want to share that with you. That's the main reason I'm here. I'm going to listen in, but I welcome feedback, email, or even text. I'll throw my email and my phone number in the chat so people can follow up with me as they like. Thank you.
Great. And I just threw the link in there. So if anybody wants to go on the site, you can go ahead and click on that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other news or updates or things that anybody in the group would like to discuss before we get into the AI coding presentation? I'll take that as a no. All right. So today we are going to be building out a simple contact form that is going to be tied to a FileMaker database and hosted in WordPress. And we're going to do no coding ourselves. It's going to be all through AI coding. And so we'll walk through that process. And I'll be happy to take any questions at any point along the line. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And before we get to presenting on the actual coding of the app, I want to kind of just take things a very far step back and take you to first explain, because I want this to be helpful for people on all ends of the spectrum. So this may be information that for many of you is not needed, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So there are a number of AI platforms, companies that have their own models. The three kind of big ones, at least right now, it's changing by the second, are Anthropic, who have Claude, OpenAI, who have ChatGPT, and Google, who have Gemini. There are a bunch of others, Meta, Microsoft, X, but these three seem to be the three that people are most utilizing. And when you use Claude Code, or when you use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, um, and you use these chatbot features, you're talking to a model, and these models for Anthropic are Opus, Sonic, and Haiku. And Haiku is kind of the quick and easy model that you can talk to really quickly. Sonnet is kind of in the middle, and Opus is kind of the large brain model. And then they have another model that's coming out pretty soon. I think they've started handing it to like corporations, but that one's supposed to be world changing. So we'll see what happens after that. Um, for ChatGPT, they have different models, but they usually will kind of just give you like, but their models are numbered like 5 point something, or 5.5, 5.4, 5.3, or whatever. But then within the models they have different types of kind of uses of the model. So they have like the pro version, which is uh going to kind of really give you probably the best possible answer, but it'll take a lot longer and be more expensive to give you that answer back. Thinking, which is will kind of give you a better answer than the instant one, but won't take as long. And then the instant one is the one that everybody probably uses daily, which is giving you information as quickly as possible back to you. Um, and then for Gemini, they have kind of the same idea. They have the fast thinking in pro, which is basically the same as ChatGPT. So Claude has really changed the kind of way of doing things by giving names to them, whereas the other two models are just it's the same thing, just different uses, I guess. So any questions about kind of the different models before we get into the actual coding side of this? All right, so I'm going to open up which I have here.
Real quick
Yeah,
question,
go ahead.
Justin. Sorry, I couldn't turn my mic on fast enough. Um, I didn't hear you mention Grok at all. Do you work at all with Grok?
I have not worked with Grok. Um, I think I brought up XAI as one of the companies, one of the other companies, but I have not done any work with them. I've really only used these three models,
Fair enough.
um,
Thank you.
or these three platforms. So I have a separate machine. This is a Mac Mini that's sitting right next to my computer, but isn't really connected to anything. It doesn't have access to any of my file systems. It doesn't have access to any of my client data or any of my personal data. All it does is code, essentially. Um, and in talking with people who know
I
a
don't
lot
know how
more
they
than I
get the
do,
power on there. Bro,
in talking with people who know a lot more than I do about uh, AI coding, an important thing to take into account is privacy and security, because when you start going down this rabbit hole, you will be giving your computer or whatever computer is running the app a lot of access to things. And by way of that, also giving the models a lot of access. So that's something to keep in mind when starting to work on this. So I use a tool called VS Code. And it's a pretty, I think, uh, a tool that people in the industry, in the coding industry, generally use. And I have this is kind of just I actually don't have anything up right here. How do I open up this? Yeah, okay. So on the left side is kind of your area where you can control where your like files are and manage your source control, and I'll show you all that. But what I want to show here, and another thing that you can do is install extensions. And I've installed a few extensions on mine, Claude and Codex, and then this other one that it doesn't really have anything to do with this. And then VS Code kind of works well in tandem with GitHub. And so this extension is the Git Hub Copilot, which basically comes with VS Code, though if you
Yeah.
actually want to use it, you have to pay for it.
So for ticket number 120036, it's under Garrett's name right now, but also
so all right. So with the different uh, extensions, you can basically chat to the different um, models and have them actually build the app for you. And so this one right here is a chat with GitHub Copilot. And the cool thing about GitHub Copilot is it gives you the option to chat with a number of different models from different companies. And these are the ones that we have set up, but you can add even more from companies like there's the Grok and some other ones. And then you can select when you're actually doing a working with it, how you want to interact with it. You can plan, you can ask it a question, or agent is saying you actually want it to work for you. Codex is a little bit simpler. You don't really have the choice in here to express whether you want it to be playing or not. So you have to actually tell it. And here you can choose kind of the level of intelligence you want and which model you want it to use. And then Claude allows you to choose, again, which model you want to use. And it allows you to here choose whether you want it to be in planning mode or edit mode, or give it the bypass permissions mode, which it'll just do everything without you saying yes or no to it. So now I'm going to go into actually building this tool. So I'm going to open back up and I'll use ChatGPT for this. And I have a little blurb of what I would like it to build. So I'm asking it, I would like to build a web form that will allow users to enter their first name, last name, phone number, and email address, and then click save. When when clicking save, the data should be stored in a FileMaker database using the FileMaker data API. I will need an admin panel where I can enter the FileMaker host address, database name, layout name, account username, account password, and field names for first name, last name, email, and phone. I want to create this as a simple web app, then convert it to a WordPress plugin. Please create the agents.md file for this. So I'm going to send this to ChatGPT and see what it comes back with. And this is the thinking version. This is the instant version of ChatGPT. Because it's a simple app I'm asking it for, you don't need to get super complicated. But if I were building a bigger app, I would chat with I would chat with either the pro or the thinking version of it. All right, so it's doing its thing. It's building out the plan. Still building it out. All right, so it's done its thing. So now I'm going to copy the contents of this and now go into my machine where I have my server. I'm going to go ahead and I have a little Git repositories folder. And where was I? And I'll just create a new folder for this and call this CFDG contacts form demo. come in here, and I'm actually going to then go into VS Code and open the folder and find that folder and open it. So right now it's an empty folder. I can go ahead and create a new file, call it agents.md, open it up and paste everything in. All right, so I just pasted all the instructions that ChatGPT gave me into this agents.md file. I'm going to save it and then come to this source control section, which is where you connect it to GitHub. So I'm going to go ahead and publish it to GitHub. I'm going to publish it to my private repository. Okay. So it's going ahead and publishing it. Boom. So it's published. So now this is living on my GitHub repository and you can see the first commit. So now literally all you have to do is chat with one of the agents and say, create my app based off of the agents.md file. So I'm going to I'm going to use Claude Code for this and say, create my app based on the agents.md file and see what it does. And this might take a few minutes because it's going to go ahead and start creating a bunch of files in here, and you'll see it'll create a bunch of files. While it's working, does anybody have any questions for me?
You're on your Mac Mini now, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll make this minimized so it's more clear what I'm working on when. Yeah, so this is the Mac Mini that it's working on.
Okay.
And then this is where, so I could have opened up ChatGPT on the Mac Mini and done it that way, but this is logged into my account and I would have had to gone in here and log in and I didn't have
Yep.
that up. So that's why I did that. Any other questions while we're waiting for this thing? So you can see
At
it's
some
going
point, I'd
through
like to
the-
hear how you isolated the Mini from your network so it cannot suck anything off of your other machines.
I
Because
mean,
they're obviously on the same network per se.
it's on my like Wi-Fi network, yes. But it doesn't have connection to any of my like the data on my computer. I didn't go like super crazy and like find like every possible way that it could, connect to my network. Um, when you're running these tools, they have specific uses. There
Yeah.
are a number of uses there. If you really wanted, if you really were afraid of like it doing something crazy, then you could kind of secure it even more. If you were to like use it as like a open claw machine where it's actually like agentically coding or it's
Right.
actually
That's what I'm
asynchronously
concerned
coding,
about.
yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm right
Okay.
now, at least on this machine, I'm always asking it to do things. And and if it's going to complete an action, that's like going onto the computer's kind of like uh beyond the folder, it has to ask you first. So you
Good.
know what it's
Okay.
going to be doing.
Gotcha. All right. That's fine.
Yeah. And it's mostly like NPM or Node scripts. So you can see it's building a whole thing,
Hmm.
which is pretty cool. While we're getting this ready, I'm going to open up the FileMaker database I've created so we can have that ready to go. Let's see. All right, so this is the contacts database. It's just the generic contacts database that FileMaker has. and I have a layout called contacts fmres that just has the basic information that we're looking for: primary key, address, email address, phone number, first name, and last name. So that's what we're working with. That's our backend data source.
And where is it running?
On a server, on like a local on a development server, but
Okay. It's
cloud
a
host.
local server. It's not FileMaker Cloud or something like
No,
that.
it's not FileMaker Cloud, but it's like an AWS server that's hosting FileMaker databases.
Okay.
All right, so it has completed its first run, and it'll normally tell you what to do to actually start the server and start the process. And so what I'm going to do is test this out locally, see if it's working, and then ask it to turn it into a WordPress plugin. All right, so I'm going to come into the terminal and run npm start. Okay. So if we go in here and go here. All right. So this is a very basic. This is very basic. It does not have any nice UI or anything like that, which is fine. But obviously, if I was going to actually sell this or put this on my website, I would want it to have a nicer looking UI. But for the case of this, it's fine. So how do we go to the ad? Oh, I see. Okay, so this is how we get to the admin console. So, all right. So what to do? Permissions are admin and change me, which is fine. Hmm. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so it did not like that. Cannot get /admin. So let's try this again and do npm run dev. Okay, let's try that again. Hmm. Okay, so I'm going to tell it we got a bug, so I'm going to tell it
Mr. Wright, press specify every time like that.
sorry, what was that? What was the question?
Surely specify writer. So is there any way to shortcut there? I'm getting this error when opening localhost. Can we reduce that?
What do you mean by that?
I found usually you can just type in the error and hit enter and it'll figure it out. You didn't even have to type. You didn't have to type I'm getting this error when opening localhost at all.
Yeah, you can also read screenshots if you take a shot of that with the URL showing. You can figure that out too.
All right, so now we have it open now. So it whatever the problem was, it fixed the issue, and now I'm able to get in here. So I can go in and put all my information in. And then because it's FileMaker, we need to actually map the names of the fields, which you could hard code, but then if you need in the future, if you need to have this adjusted, you would have to actually ask the app to change it instead. So I'm going to save the settings and then test the connection. And Usually it would the implementation that this gave this time is not great because it doesn't really tell you when you save that something got saved or when you test a connection that the test connection actually worked. So I'm going to say
By the way, there's no way to turn off those silly verbs that Claude
oh
comes
yeah.
back at you. You just can't do it. It's funny
And
the
some,
first time, but it kind of wears on you.
something that to check when you're running Claude is their tokens go by really quickly.
Yeah.
You could see we haven't asked it much, and we've used 12% of the capabilities, and we're using the default model right now, which is Sonnet. If we switch to Opus, it'll burn up the usage very quickly. It would have probably built a better app. It definitely would have built a better app, and it would have built it faster, and we wouldn't be having these issues. But the percentage used would probably be closer to like 70% at this point. It goes really quickly.
What subscription are you on?
I'm just on the basic. This app has the basic like $20 a month subscription. So it's still thinking. It hasn't actually done anything yet. I want to see if I come into here and actually put something in here, what happens. Huh. Okay, so it took you to a page that failed and it didn't submit. So it may now be working on the actual information.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to use HTTPS. Can you hear me okay, Justin?
Yeah.
Cool. And also, I noticed on the config that you switched up the phone and email, I think, unless you fixed that when I wasn't looking. Yeah, it's mixed up there.
Oh. Oh, good call.
That must have been mixed up in the original prompt because we saw that issue when we tested this before too.
Oh yeah. I just have a list of fields to copy and paste, and I just went down my list. I wasn't even paying attention. So that's a good call on that. After this, I'm gonna switch to Opus because it'll give better results more quickly. So we don't have to deal with this Sonnet not thinking amazingly. You can see the account usage going. Now fix the CSS with whatever CSS there is on this file because it's pretty basic. Okay, so I'm gonna come out of here and do the npm run dev again. So we can start from scratch. We'll come into this page. And it didn't look like it saved anything. So we'll do this whole thing over again. Right. This time I got the right order. Okay, now let's save the settings. I have no idea if they saved or not. And let's text a connection, and I have no idea if the connection worked. So not great. So let's go back to here and see if this works. And yeah, still getting that. Still getting an issue. Oh, I see, because it's not secure. So let's try going. There we go. Okay, so that was just taking it back to the page. But it did not submit anything. I have a feeling because the settings aren't getting saved. Okay, so I'm gonna switch and talk to Opus because we need a little bit more power because Sonnet was not doing the job.
You need to commit those changes.
Yeah, well, I can commit these changes to GitHub. That won't change what's happening here.
Okay, you don't need to commit to a local repo as well.
No, everything is happening locally.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see what Opus can do to fix this issue. It's
So
funny,
Justin,
I've done
when you've
yeah.
been developing apps, is this sort of typical that you sort of just when you run into a bug, you just sort of report the bug back to the model and say, go fix it?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's funny, I've done this like 3 times, like building this exact tool with the exact same instructions to ChatGPT, and this is by far the worst implementation it's done out of all of
That's the demo gods just playing with you.
them. I almost want to just take this, talk to Codex and see if Codex can build a better version of this app, just from the original agents.md file.
Mhm.
Which might be an interesting
Comparison.
thing to do. We'll see what this does. If this fails, we'll go back to we'll start from scratch, get a new get that agents.md file on a new folder, and then try to build it from scratch from there and see what Codex does compared to Claude.
If you're willing to risk it using Claude Code or Claude Cowork from the Claude app and saying you can look at this one folder, the project folder where you're managing this code, it's a lot less expensive to use Opus 4.6 or 4.7 that way than use it through Cursor or VS Code. So I've taken to doing architecture with Claude Code in the Claude app, and then asking for a plan, which I give to Cursor. And Cursor, by the way, has its own model called Composer 2. Cursor is a different version of VS Code. It's based on the same core code.
Right.
And that gives me a pretty economical way of doing things, because you get the benefit of architecture from Opus, which is very good. And Composer is almost as good as Sonnet at just doing basic coding and problem solving and debugging. And it's like 1/10 of the cost.
Got it. Okay. So okay.
Do you have experience with Cursor AI?
With which one?
Cursor AI. The tool what have
Sorry.
the tool what is mentioned just before.
Well, yeah, Cursor is a very popular alternative to VS Code. It's a fork of the basic VS Code
Yeah,
code base.
I actually have experience with Cursor AI, basically 3 or 6 months ago. But at the time, the Cursor AI was not working so well as Cloud Code right now. So, are you sure Cursor AI can be comparable to the Cloud Code right now?
Um, I'm I'm not sure that it's easy to use Claude Code directly in Cursor AI. In Cursor, I haven't tried it actually, but I don't. It doesn't just you can't just say click Claude Code. So I tend to use Claude Code in the Claude app to do architectural stuff and to basically review or to say look at a piece of code and decide whether it needs to be refactored or something like that. Or there's which is something you need to do every so often because you may if you layer changes on changes on changes, you can get unmanageable code, especially with AI.
Mhm.
So, so I've taken to doing that basically. But Claude Code is evolving all the time. And maybe the Claude Code plugin for VS Code will also work with Cursor. I haven't actually checked that.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of coding coding quality, I believe that Cloud Core is by far the best option what we can choose right now because it have famous model just like Opus model,
Yep.
and this is the best quality coding agent. But I think we need to focus on prompt engineering on
Indeed.
using Cloud Code. Yeah. So actually, maybe we can define the principle and yeah, maybe some way like principle of coding way. So when we imagine as a human coder, we have our rule and principles while we are coding, right? So
Hmm.
Cloud Code also allows that to be defined um, in advance. So that means, um, yeah, if you have
Setting up
experience
rules,
with
yeah.
that, Justin.
Yeah. I found trying to set up rules I've used Cursor mainly, but setting up rules which govern are supposed to be read by each chat doesn't work consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
Mm-hmm.
actually
Sure.
developed a few standard prompts, which
Mm-hmm.
I built a little app so I can just copy them onto the clipboard. And the first prompt in a chat says, this is how you're going to operate. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. I also have, in most of my projects, I have a set of indexes to the code base, indexes to information about the platform I'm coding for. And those are all indexed and easily accessible. So you tell it, use these indexes to ask questions. Don't import the whole code base just to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that cuts down on tokens as well.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
But I'd use a combination of it. I mean, using Claude through VS Code or Cursor is very expensive, actually. You can easily
Mm-hmm.
spend $100 a day, but because it hits your limit and you say do some more, do some more. Whereas if you do a lot of stuff in the Claude app, if you say you pointed a specific folder, it's much less expensive. And so you do
Sure.
a coding plan in that app and then paste that coding plan or save it as an MD document in your project and then tell a less expensive model like Composer, for example, in the case of Cursor, to execute. That works quite well. I've also tried using some local models, Quen models, and also Gemma 4, which is the latest one from Google, Gemini, whatever. And and trying to use as a combination. But the tools for working with local models are not as intuitive or as easy to work with yet. So that's down the road.
I find using Claude CLI being extremely beneficial. What is the advantage of going through the VS Code? I'm coding HTML pages all the time and post them into FileMaker, and I rarely get past 20% in 7 days.
You using the Claude app?
No, command line interface.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
Using plan mode in Opus 7. So I don't know
uh,
what the advantages are of using something like VS Code.
oh, the only things that I know, well, I'll defer to Justin, but this manages your Git repositories, your commits, and your versions and stuff automatically for you.
I just have it. I don't use Git. I just have it sending stuff to my local folder.
Yeah. Well, if you're revising a real application and iteratively improving it, GitHub is extremely useful for that because you can revert, you can go back to previous versions. It's just
Yeah, but it's not required.
it's
I
not
mean, it's a
required,
benefit.
no. But
I guess my
but
question is
yeah,
CLI versus an IDE. What's the benefit? Because it seems like the IDE is just going through tokens left and right. And I've got
well,
$100 max plan, and I
I'll defer to
rarely hit it.
Justin on that. I don't want to hog the airtime, but
There's definitely, I mean, I just use VS Code because it's easy and it allows you to kind of manage everything in a visual way. Um, but there's definitely not a hard and fast reason why you need to do that. So if it's better to just go,
Well, if you're
uh,
having trouble going through tokens, I'd recommend CLI, giving that a shot.
or if
okay,
you don't like CLI, just use Claude Cowork and ask it to tell Claude Code to do it for you. And then you can talk English language to Claude Cowork, and it will get you where you want to go.
all right.
Hmm.
So we created this looks a lot nicer than the last one.
Yeah.
How do we get to the admin page is the question. Um, okay, so it's probably just this.
Admin login. Yeah.
Cool. And did they give us a password? Is it admin admin or is it admin change me? Or is it just admin admin? Oh, change dash me. There we go. Okay. So let's try this again. So, and normally I'm just going to save settings. Okay. Settings saved. It has at least some type of feedback now. If we refresh the page, it's saved. So we're already in a better place than we were last time. All right. It's nice.
You did set up FM REST in your FileMaker, didn't you?
What was that?
You did create the FM REST user in FileMaker?
Yes. Yes. All right. Save. And now let's test the connection. Connection successful. All right. So now go a new tab back to oh, um, all right. Let's see if this works. All right. So it says contact was synced, and in the FileMaker database, we have the contact. All right. So Codex definitely did a much better job than Claude at building this app. So now this is a web app, which you can go and right now it's obviously living locally. You can go and put it on a server and have it run. But we want this to be a WordPress plugin that we're going to install in our file in our on our website. So let's ask it to turn this into a WordPress plugin. I'm gonna get the website ready. Sure. Do whatever you want. All right. You can see it created the file. So I think it's pretty much done. Yep. So it created this zip file. This is what I want. So I'm going to take that zip file, see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So here's a zip file. And here's my websites on. I'm just going to get this local. Drag and drop it over. All right. So I'm on our website and we have the new plugin. So I'm going to upload the plugin. And I'm going to choose the file. No, actually, I think I can just drag and drop it in here. Yep. And install. And I'm going to activate it. Okay. So this plugin got added. You can see it's here. Now, I've noticed when building this that the admin panel can be in a different place, but usually it'll tell you where it put the admin panel. So let's see if it did. So it's in settings. So if you go in here, go to settings and try that again. CFDG contacts. There we go. All right, cool. So we just do the same thing we did a little bit earlier. Copy and paste all that info in. And something
Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
something I've noticed a lot of these that every time I've built this is they always give you the short code, which makes it really nice because you don't have to play around with that. All right, cool. Connection was successful. So now I have my web page here. So I'm just going to copy the short code. I have my page builder out, and I'm just going to go and drop it in there. Publish the page. And let's go look at it. All right. So it's live. So now let's test this out. And submit. Boom. And where did the FileMaker app go? Here it is. And the user's created. So boom, we just created a plugin to a contact plugin, all using web code that we didn't do any development on, that's connected to your FileMaker database. All right.
So then you're just going to send out that the URL to the form to whomever.
Yeah, I mean, you could think of this as like, if your website has a contact us page, right?
Yes.
You could replace that with this and have the data get sent to your FileMaker database instead of whatever you're using now to store your contact when people submit a contact to you. Whether it's, Gravity Forms or one of those tools, you could
Mhm.
bypass all of that and have it go straight into your FileMaker database if you wanted it to. All
What
right.
does what does Studio then add that? Oh well, this isn't pulling anything from FileMaker. It's only sending.
Right now, there's no reason why, like, you can, as long as you tell it the right things, it can build an app that will pull information from your FileMaker app and display it as well. There's nothing stopping it from doing that. It's just using the FileMaker data API.
What about security in posting? Because if you have this on your website, you're going to get a ton of spam.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's something for you to have to deal with. You could add, I'm sure you could work with it to add a some type of like CAPTCHA thing on there, just like you have, on whatever other,
Mhm.
web forms you would have. Um, I probably wouldn't do this, what I'm doing now, like have a web page that opens up a connection to your FileMaker database that is not behind some type of security layer. But if you're going, this is just a kind of the most basic kind of integration that I could think of with FileMaker. Um, but I think you could, imagine using this to build tools, where people log in first and then they go through a process of, seeing their invoices or, whatever information you want to give them that you have stored in your FileMaker database and give them an ability to talk to you through it.
Do you have any opinions on OData versus the data API for this kind of thing?
Um, no, I've only tried the data API. That would be an interesting use case to go through this entire experiment again, telling it to use OData instead and see if it works.
Yeah, you don't need any layouts. You don't. It's less complex, but it's a bit of a heavyweight tool, and it tries to meet industry standards for OData, which it doesn't always do, actually. But I would I sort of think Clara Studio is sort of. I think it's easier to do this stuff than use Clara Studio, basically. I'm sure I'm not the only person who thinks that, but. The other question I had is whether normally you would want to have a mirror of your context table in your WordPress database somewhere if it's going to be part of the functionality of your WordPress site. So now you're creating a SQL version and a MySQL version or a MariaDB version versus FileMaker, and you've got this used to sort out. Have you gone down that route at all?
I mean, I've gone down the route of building a WordPress plugin that is just storing the data in WordPress. So I can't imagine if you're gonna build, like, if I were building this tool, I can't imagine it would be very hard for uh Claude or Codex to also add building a SQL database to store the data in along with sending it to FileMaker.
No, I mean, I've done that actually, so it's not too difficult.
Yeah. And the thing about these tools is that they just do all the work for you as long as you ask it the right questions and and obviously, as we saw today, use the right agents. They'll generally get the job done.
I'm wondering if whether asking ChatGPT to design the coding instruction and then handing it to a different model to execute. I would have probably used Claude Code or Claude Cowork to design to architect the thing, and
Sure.
then sent that to a model in Cursor or
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And probably I'm glad I mean, it took a lot longer to get there, but I'm glad we did that because I'd never really thought about that. But it probably is important if you're going to like whatever app you're going to use to build your system that you also use that to create the agents file because that will create it in a way that works for it. So like ChatGPT will create an agents file that'll work for ChatGPT, whereas you're probably right. If I asked Claude to create it, Claude would have created an agents file that worked for Claude.
you also touched on NPM. It might be worth explaining to people what that is.
That's basically just running Node on your server. So it's basically what's running the local engine on your server.
Okay.
Any other questions about this?
Yeah, I also had some thoughts about security. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly how specific you were about security in the original prompt,
I
but
was
it
not.
occurs to me that the model could have built this in a couple different ways in terms of how it handles the FileMaker credentials.
Mhm.
And one way that it could have built it is by pushing it to the browser, so the browser can talk directly to the data API, which would be very dangerous if those credentials can do things other than add context to that one table on that one record, right? So
Yeah.
you want to be very careful about what you instructed as far as how to handle that. You want it to be a server-side bridge where that information that you put in that config page never gets exposed to the browser.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I have a like a blurb that I include in all of my agents.md files for like real apps that basically says don't do anything that's going to make this app in any way not secure or not private.
Mhm.
And generally when you do that, it does a good job of making sure. But if you don't do that, then God knows. Like this app that I put on this, development site could be the most easily hackable thing in the world. And it probably is, to be honest. Any other questions or
That would be a
comments?
good kind of thing to, once you're finished, to go to another model completely and just tell it a bit about your security goals and ask for a code review.
Oh yeah, totally. I, I'm definitely not the world's greatest expert on these models, but what I've found is that uh, Claude Opus does a really good job of reviewing your code and helping you plan what you want to do. And Codex generally does the best job of building something efficiently and quickly and close to right. That's just been my experience of using these tools. But I'm not sure if anybody's had any different experiences.
Has anybody used any local models, locally installable models?
I have.
What do you think of that, Paul?
Well, when I say local, it's actually, on an AWS server. It's not local on. I did try once putting it local on my, laptop, and that was just too slow. Everything just kind of bogged down. But
Mm.
getting an appropriate configuration on AWS actually worked quite well. I didn't use any of the three models that you have been using. I use Mistral because the client that I'm using is French, and that's the way it has to be. I found it quite easy to actually install it, and the kind of the MCP structure worked right away. I didn't have any problem getting it up. The only thing I have noticed is that when Mistral comes out with updates, that creates a problem for me.
Hmm.
Because the only way I've been able to do it without breaking things is to make a complete copy of everything, both the database and the LLM, on the same machine with a different names, which obviously requires double storage. And then when that is done, it has to be done in there overnight, which is awkward for me. Um, Delete the original and rename the new. But it does work. And I do find that it's a good deal faster than trying to remote connect like to the a Mistral server itself. And similarly, I found that even if you're just doing OpenAI, I've done used OpenAI to create finds like using generating SQL code that I can execute from FileMaker. If you do that through OpenAI, it can be a good deal slower than it is to do it with a co-hosted LLM.
Got it. That's cool. Any other questions or comments or things you'd like to discuss either in the AI front or the FileMaker front in general?
Why is it that FileMaker has never made it easy to copy FileMaker code from one place and paste it into FileMaker and make it work?
Yeah.
You have to dig into the XML and dig it out and push it around. I
Well,
don't know
yes, you
what
can update the XML generated by FileMaker, but if you want to actually say you wanted Claude to generate FileMaker code for you,
Hmm.
if
it
it
That's
can
can
do it
coming.
up to
download
a point. It's not great at it, but when it does, you still have to type it in line by line.
it.
That's coming in. That's coming pretty quickly. There's a couple of solutions out there. One from Matt Petrowski and another one from GenieWave.
Well, I've seen Matt has had stuff out there for a while, but they're kind of awkward to use. If he's coming out with something new, I'll be very happy.
GenieWave is going to be the best. I saw a demo on it last month.
Okay.
Nice.
The other issue is that if you're working in JavaScript or PHP or some language that's got a massive tomes of example code out in the internet, models are much better at doing that right than they are picking up FileMaker, which there's just not enough out there about it,
Hmm.
models to work with. So you could build a RAG, I guess, and attach that and incorporate that in a coding platform. And that would probably help.
Right.
I think FM Dojo has a solution as well.
Who is that? FM Dojo?
FM Dojo. Yeah, there's a, I think it's Angus Riley. She's going around the groups doing presentations now.
Cool. I'll check in with them and see if they'd be interested in coming here. Would that be something that the group would be interested in having?
I would.
Cool. I'll check that out. I'll reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in coming to us maybe next month or the month after. All right. Any other items, topics? We found one interesting thing as a future topic. If there are other future topics that you think would be interesting either to present on yourself, or if you have a person or a topic that would be interesting, you'd be interested in us going and finding to present on, uh, let me know. You can either let me know in now, or feel free to reach out to me through email or whatever other method that you have of getting in contact. And we'll work to get those people presenting for us.
That'd be great.
Just a general comment.
Mhm.
If you have a SQL database and JavaScript or Vue or TypeScript and AI,
Mhm.
you can build almost anything really quite quickly with AI. It takes a bit of it. You have to have some imagination about how it's going to be structured and get some architectural things right. And I do think that is going to be a strategic issue for FileMaker because its calling card of its quick development is somewhat mitigated against by this development. And I think they're going to have, on top of that, there are people coming at them for the mid-market ERP space like Zoho and Odoo, who are going straight at them for the small business who just wants a few apps that run. And they're very cheap to get started with as well. So I think FileMaker is going to have some strategic issues to deal with. And to my mind, if the back end of it is Draco and its limitations, if they had addressed that rather than work around it over the last decade, I think they'd be in a better place. But just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of uh I see a few different directions things can go that could be positive for FileMaker. Obviously, we know of the potential negatives for FileMaker of the fact that these tools are pretty quickly becoming, if not already, major competitors to what they offer. Two, I would say potential avenues that I see, like strategic avenues that FileMaker can go down are one, security, and the fact that a FileMaker database is a self-contained kind of organism. And a lot of what I think we're going to see is people building apps like the one I built today, not looking at security at all and having important information shared on the web. I think that's going to be a major thing that's happening. And another thing that I'm sure everybody's noticing is all these AI tools are becoming more and more expensive. It seems like they're all currently living, even the ones that like Claude, where it took almost all of my tokens just building this simple app not well. Um, they're all, I think, still living in a loss. Like they're still making a loss on us. And eventually they're going to want to make a profit on us. And when they do that, they're going to have to start charging way more for what they do. And that may get to a point where the price point for using an AI tool becomes more expensive than building an app yourself. So those are two, I would say, FileMaker silver linings that are out there, in my opinion. All right. So if that's everything, I think we can close up shop today. And thanks, Ashley, for passing on some of the other folks who are doing AI presentations. I'll reach out to them. And thanks, John. I'm not sure if he's still on for passing on the information about FM access. That looks very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
And have a
Thanks,
good rest of your day,
Justin.
everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, thanks all.
Thanks, Justin.